Good evening and welcome to episode 7 of WOSFL Weekly. I'm your host, Jonny Baillie, and I'm delighted to be joined by the newly promoted Knightswood manager, Michael Pender. Michael, how are you?
Jonny, thanks for having us. Yeah, really well, thank you, mate. You?
I'm good, thanks, mate. I'm good. I've got a wee bit of colour. I was at the back door yesterday and stuff, so I'm feeling myself a wee bit tonight, which is good. Okay, before we get started, thanks to everybody that's engaged with the show. We're getting really good kind of viewing figures across all the shows and Pyramid Promotions, which is great. You can interact with this show if you like, leave any comments or questions in the comment box. We'd love to hear from you and get involved. Any questions for Michael or anything in general about the goings on in the West of Scotland Football League. Check out our other shows, the Pyramid Promotions YouTube page. Loads and loads of content there. If you'd like to support us by becoming a member, it would be a big help to the channel, big help to PG and his outgoings for making sure that we're bringing you the best possible content that we can. And there's even plans to be even bigger and better next season. So hopefully you can support us and get on board. This show will be available to rewatch once we're finished, and it'll be available on all audio forms by the end of the night, hopefully. So if you're watching on YouTube, if you could like the video, subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on audio form, if you could rate and review on whatever podcast app you're listening to, it would make a big difference to us. It would help us with the algorithm and so on. Finally, just a big shout out to our sponsors, VSN. If you're looking for some bespoke teamwear, get in touch with Gary at VSN. The number is going along the bottom of the screen just now. Okay, so we'll kick off, Michael, with the reconstruction fiasco. How's it been down your end of the league, given the fact that you were up until maybe 2 weeks ago thinking you could maybe have 4 or 5 new teams in the league? How's it been received?
A lot of chat, Jonny, and a lot of confusion for a lot of the managers within the league. To speak to some of the guys, and it's probably made it a bit more competitive. Everybody's, as you already know, there's 4 or 5 teams fighting for that third spot just now, but everybody else is kind of making sure they're staying switched on. Nobody's turning off because they just were unsure how this was going to look. Was there going to be a 4th spot available? Was it going to open up to something completely different? Could it end up being 7 or 8 teams that are going up? So there's been a lot of noise about it. And obviously still not hearing anything official yet, but kind of looking now more, it seems a more logical approach as if it's going to be delayed this season. I can't see any reason for it being rushed in just now, apart from these things are usually rushed in for financial reasons, and that's why things are pushed through. But apart from that, I don't see any logical reason to put it through this year. So I think a season and doing it right for me, doing it properly with a bit of time and a bit of consultation would be the right thing for all parties.
Aye, I think the last we'd heard, the Lowland League had obviously voted against it, which is interesting because a couple of weeks ago, PG had heard that it was pretty much a done deal, but I don't know whether that was just a bit of misinformation or the Lowland League have had a change of heart. There's been some talk around there. What they're thinking, I'm not sure. I'm not connected to it. The Pyramid Working Group met at the end of last week, and there was word come out of that they're still considering proposals. There's still proposals to put to the leagues and stuff like that. But I'm in complete agreement with you, Michael. There is absolutely no way they can bring anything in for next season now. It would. I mean, it's been a big enough shambles, just the rumours that this is happening. But I think we'd all kind of accepted it a wee bit. But now to find out that it's been put in the back burner, but yet there might be something else that comes up if they were to try and put that on the clubs for next season, I don't think would be acceptable. What's your thoughts?
What are we, Jonny? 5 weeks to the end of the season.
Some teams have only 3 games to go.
It's crazy. I mean, by this stage of the season, it should be nice and clear cut. There's 5 weeks to go. Everybody knows 17th of May is the end game, and then at that point, we all know how it looks, ups and downs, everything else. And if there is proposals, then great, put them on the table and let the powers that be and need to be discuss it, and do it properly in a controlled manner rather than this. It just seems that it doesn't see. I can't see any reason for it at all, as I say, other than maybe if there's somebody with a bit of power somewhere try to push something through. But give it a year and do it properly.
Aye, give it a year, and it gives teams that want to go and get the licenses to give them that time as well. Because I know teams like Troon are pretty close. Johnston Borough have got big plans to do that. I'd imagine there'd be other teams as well, Largs B, these kind of teams that have been up there that are maybe looking at it as well. So it gives them more time, because if you bring it in from next season, you could end up with a West of Scotland Premier Division that's maybe got one licensed team in it, maybe co-winning if they get promoted, or they could even go straight up, but co-winning. So they're the only team that can really go up. So again, it makes the league a waste of time. So, and then also at the bottom end, if they're bringing teams into the 4th division, it then gives teams a chance, like if it's whether it's a youth side or a top amateur side or something like that, it gives them time to get their infrastructure in place to come up. Because if we're bringing teams into the league, they have to be of a standard to contribute to the league. Do you know what I mean? Like yourselves, like Glenvale, you know, that kind of thing. Like Threave, for instance, they need to be of a standard. We can't just be bringing in every Tom, Dick and Harry that's got a team just so we can make up the numbers.
I know first season when Knightswood came in, and it was really kind of, it's no last minute, but it's rushed in it. You've not really got a full time to prepare, and I know how difficult that was for Gary, Angela, and Lewis, and that, who pulled everybody together and brought Stevie in, and you want people to have a wee bit of a fighting chance, don't you, to get prepared for the season and being able to go out there and look for players and get everything in place. It just it doesn't seem sensible, does it?
No. Well, the good thing for us, mate, is it means that we've got stuff to talk about, because the league positions sounds like it actually is going to matter, which is a big bonus for us. Because I was on the radio last week with PG, and he was a bit flat on the old Saturday Football Live last week. Just because we thought that it was going to happen, and these relegations and promotions were going to be up in the air. So we'll get plenty of stuff to talk about. So we'll crack on with the Premier League to begin with. Sorry, we'll just get a comment for Craig McGee in the chat. Craig's always commenting, so thanks for engaging with us, Craig. Just saying, still up in the air with proposals, talk of the Lowland League having run its course. A lot of parties not happy with Lowland League holding power. I think it's, I don't know about holding power, although they do have a bit of power over what we do in essence. I don't think it's run its course, but I do think there needs to be a change. But I also feel that, without getting into a wider debate about Scottish football, the League Two, the Team 42 or whatever it is, the 10-team leagues in the lower levels of the Scottish League, it doesn't work for me. We should be 16-team leagues, and then you can look at having 3 Tier 5s, bottom 3 go down, top 3 go up, and then that's it, easy as. I think you look at the English system, and I know England's a much larger area and they've got lots more teams, but I think the way that they work it, I can't. Also, big bugbear of mine, Michael, I don't know about you, but a big bugbear of mine is teams that finish second bottom getting the chance to keep themselves in the division. I hate that.
No, I think, Johnny, you're right, and we've got more than enough teams. I know geographically they're a lot bigger than us in population as well, but we've got millions of teams. Well, I know it's hard, and there's teams decimated just now because of running and that kind of stuff. I get that, but we've still got plenty of football teams. So I think we should. I think we need to look at the structure right all the way through, because it definitely is. The higher up you go, it's got a detrimental effect on the standard of football, hasn't it?
Aye, absolutely, and also it's got a detrimental effect on the youth football as well, because if you're playing 10-team leagues, the difference we see it in the Championship and the SPFL. Sorry, we're kind of veering away into different conversations, but it's so tight, and the money that's there, it's so valuable to be up the top end, and they're no way to take a chance and bleeding an 18-year-old through. So, but anyway, on to our league, which is the best to talk about anyway, the most exciting. First things first for me, down the bottom. Well, we'll say well done to Largs, Clydebank losing their unbeaten run. I suppose I like to ask every manager that I have on. It's an incredible achievement to even go this far with an unbeaten run for Clydebank, but they'll be disappointed, especially now. Gordon Moffat will be wanting to keep them honest now that it's looking like this playoff's going to happen. So, does yesterday's result maybe serve as a good thing in a way, because it keeps them honest in the run up to the potential Musselburgh game? I
had a laugh last night, Johnny, because 25 games unbeaten, league champions, unreal, fantastic. That level of consistency isn't easy in any league. That's brilliant. And then they lose yesterday, which happens. It can happen. And I was looking at some of the comments on social media about people grumping and groaning about Clydebank, and I thought, what chance have you got in it now? Really, 25 games unbeaten, you lose a game, and there's people mopping up in the morning. The players on the robots have done extremely well. I'm pretty sure after last week they did a few celebrations. And you know what? Sometimes that can be hard just to get yourself ready to go again, especially with all the speculation that we spoke about. So, is that a shock result? Probably not. And fair play as well to Lars. Great win. But I think with the fact that there's going to be a game there, I think WOSFL will have the guys fired up for the last 4 now. There'll be boys want to get a seat at the table on the games. So I think you'll see a blip, and I'd imagine that they'll get themselves motoring to be ready to be in kind of core condition for that game.
Aye, and on the flip side, it's a great confidence booster for Arnie and the guys at Lars going into the Scottish Cup semi-final at the weekend against Johnston Borough, who also won at the weekend. So both teams going in off the back of the win, they'll be high in confidence.
That'll be. Listen, that'll be an interesting game. Not too sure how that one will go. As you say, a big one for Lars, great win for them, and with Johnston Borough winning as well, it should be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, down the bottom of the league, which is where the excitement is taking place now, we're looking. First things first, great win for Benburb. That's a massive win for them down the bottom 10. That's their first win in 10. I saw the penalty. I don't know if you had the chance to see it. So I heard on the radio yesterday, somebody was saying, I assume a Pollock fan was saying that he dived. And I don't want to say that Davy Winters dived, but if I was the defender, I would have been absolutely raging. He's been very clever. I don't know if you've seen it, but he's just kind of chopped it back, and the defenders kind of come through, and he's fell over, and he's won the penalty. But a massive win for them. It gives them a fighting chance of staying in the league.
I think it would go into the soft category, wouldn't it? I think that's where you'd be to be polite about it. But listen, the defender goes, doesn't he, and gives the referee a decision to make. So as soon as you do that, you know you're putting yourself in that lottery. Fair play, but brilliant for Benburb. And if I was right when I was looking, I think am I right in saying the Shots play Benburb on the 3rd of May?
Yes.
So that'll be absolutely massive for the division. That'll be a big one. I think Shots are at home to Benburb. Might be. I think that's right.
Yep, and Benburb have got Darvel to play twice, if I remember.
Yeah, I've seen that. So
those are two massive games. So they've got it. I mean, they've got themselves now 2 points clear of the relegation spots. Everybody's in level games. So apart from Gartcairn, who have played 2 more, but if they've got it in their own hands, which is great. If they can take care of Shots and they can take care of Darvel, then they've got it. But similarly, the other teams have got it in their hands as well. So it's going to be an exciting run-in. Definitely. A big game,
but it's tight down there between the two of them. But as you say, I think that game, the 3rd of May, depending on what happens in a couple of weeks coming up to that, but Shots Benburb will be massive.
Mm-hmm. Aye, definitely. And another team down the bottom, Darvel, they picked up, but that's now 3 defeats on the bounce. And I suppose the concerning thing for Michael Oliver would be that 2 of them have been at home, which you're really looking. We spoke a few weeks ago about how Hurlford having games at home, you always fancy them to pick up points, and Michael would probably been looking for the same from his Darvel side. Interestingly, this Johnston Borough situation still not been resolved, so hopefully, I can't believe this takes so long. Michael, can you?
No, it's a weird one. When obviously I was listening to the show, and then I seen Michael's interview, and then obviously seen Murdy's, and there wasn't really anything said about it. And then you start looking into the rules yet, and then that there was a bit for me, Johnny, when I was actually looking into the rules yet, how confused I was with it. So at first I thought it seemed pretty black and white as to how it would be dealt with, but then when you look through the rules, you think, how much has actually went wrong on the day. The referee's probably done what he's meant to have done and then reported it after it. So it'll be interesting. I've got no idea what will come up with that one.
I don't know, but I would have thought it would have been sorted out by now, though. That's the only thing, Michael. Do you know what I mean? Because you're trying to manage a team. You've got this hanging over you. You don't know what way it's going to go, and you want swift, decisive action for your powers that be, don't you? Really, if you've got an issue like this.
you look at the disciplinary side of Johnny, and if there's a red card, and if you want to appeal it, it's fast tracked, isn't it? It can be dealt with. It can be dealt with same week, no issues whatsoever. So why is this one a couple of weeks in the making, and we're not really hearing anything about it? And you don't know. It could have a direct effect in where Darvel are. I mean, it might not, but either way, they need to set a precedent for it, don't they? And let everybody know what's happening.
Aye, definitely. And I forgot to mention last week about Sean Dillon being appointed permanent manager at Beath, who beat Darvel yesterday. So that's two good wins for Sean to get off the mat. A good win last week against Caddocks, and then yesterday a really good win as well, both with clean sheets, which I'm sure will please Sean. And it's good for a new manager to come in and get a few wins under your belt, and then it helps trying to identify players for next season. If you're showing you can come in and win games straight away, it's a big factor, isn't it?
Definitely. Listen, it's that first one under your belt straight away takes the pressure off, and at this stage of the season, it'll be nice for him to go in there. It'll take him to the pre-season to get his own kind of stamp on it, the squad. But it's a nice start. You wouldn't be grumbling at 2 out of 2.
Mm-hmm. Aye, and Shot's obviously moving up a place as well. It's just going to be really, really tight at the bottom. I think Cumnock scored at the last minute to get a draw there. So that would have been for John and the guys at Shots. They would have been really disappointed. It probably felt a bit like a defeat, didn't it, when you're down the bottom and you're so close to going away to a tough place and getting a victory just to get it snatched away there would have been disappointing for him, wouldn't it?
It'd be a bit of a gutter. But is it really, really tight between? It kind of looks as if it's going to be between those Benburn and Shots, doesn't it, for that kind of third berth just now. Unless this league's favoured, this league decision rules in Darvel's favour, then none of you know what's happening at that point.
I know, that's it. I mean, if Darvel do happen to get the points or whatever, then that could take them out of the relegation zone. And Craig's saying in the chat about how it could even be 4 down, depending on what happens with the team in the Lowland League. But I mean, that could take them out of the relegation zone, put them a point behind Benburb. So I would just want to see that fixed as quickly as possible, you know, and get a resolution to it. Because if they're going to have to replay it, then they need to fit it in. And I said last week, Johnston Borough have got 8 games in 29 days or something crazy like that, you know. So they've not really got any space to fit it in. So
I'm not expert on it, Jonny, by any manner of means, but there doesn't even seem to be a precedent for a replay. It's just so. I think they just need some dialogue out, don't they? As you say, to put it to bed, tell everybody what's going on, because it's not fair on Darvel as well. Michael will be. I want to get an answer on it as well, because it's a massive 3 points for them right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, huge, and some big games coming up between those teams. So hopefully I can get along to a couple of them and see. But okay, so we'll crack on into the first division now, Michael. Great division, as you know. We talk about it all the time in the show about how exciting it is, and genuinely is a division where anybody can kind of beat anybody, and that's shown week in, week out. Renfrew, massive result for Jimmy Quigley and the guys at Renfrew yesterday. I watched the highlights of it. Renfrew went 1-0, 2-1, 3-2, all, and then Rutherglen kept pegging them back, and then they snatched the victory right at the end. When you're up the top, you'll know from being up there, and I think, if I'm right in saying, you've had a couple of last-minute winners to keep yourselves top of the league this year. It's one of the best feelings in the world, isn't it?
You can't beat the team we were actually playing this Saturday, Saltcoats. When we went down there, really tough, as we knew it would be against Stevie and the boys. Really tough conditions, tough day down there, tough fan base, a tough gig in general, and get a last-minute winner there was brilliant. You can't. It's a buzz no matter what it is. It's a cracking buzz in it. So, it's brilliant. So, it's a nice feeling when you get it. And as much as we're saying in the Cumnock game, it's an absolute gutter if it goes the other way, isn't it?
I'm sure you've. I can speak from experience. I'm sure you're the same. I've been on both sides of it, you know, and I'm sure everybody that's involved in football has been. But when you're on the winning side of it, it's just incredible sometimes. Football, people that aren't involved in football don't understand. They don't understand why we get so excited about it, but it's just indescribable sometimes, isn't it, how it makes you feel?
You can't beat it. We've unfortunately, as well as that, we've lost a couple of late goals this season. We lost one, didn't it? Kello quite late on. We were 1-0 up, and we didn't, our fault, didn't put the game to bed and then and a great finish by Greg Miller. And you're absolutely gutted because you think you've done enough in a game to see it out, and something like that happens. So it's not as much fun when it's against you, but when it's for you, it's the best thing ever, isn't it? So.
I know, and it was a really big one as well because it puts them 6 ahead of Glencairn. Glencairn have got 3 games in hand, which obviously they'll need to take care of. But that was a big psychological one, I think, for Renfrew. They've only got 3 games left. They play Maybole at home next week, then they go to Vale of Clyde, and they play Petershill at home. Now, the only thing for me, you would say they're probably favourites in all 3 of those games, although Petershill are going really well at the minute. Yeah. There's 3 weeks between the Vale of Clyde game and the Petershill game, which is the last game of the season. Do you not feel it's almost like they've obviously got the Astro, which means they can get games on when maybe other teams can't, and that stands them in good stead because it allows them to get points on the board. But then on the flip side, do you feel that sometimes that punishes teams because now they've got to wait 3 weeks without a game? I'm sure Jimmy will try and organise friendlies and whatnot, but you've got 3 weeks without a game. To go into a game where you could potentially looking at needing to win it to either win the league or to get promoted.
And as you know, it's so hard to replicate match scenario, isn't it? You can have as many bounce games as you want internally and externally, but until you're actually out there and it's in a real environment, it's really difficult. So it can work 2 ways. You know what? Maybe if they're carrying a couple of niggles, it'll maybe give a couple of boys. I seen one of the other guys comment on Clydebank saying it'll give them a chance to get boys fit for the playoff as well. So you've got that kind of benefit tying it up quickly. But the other side, it might be it is really hard sometimes when you lose that impetus in it, when you've got a rhythm going and you're winning or you're playing well and you're training. Just to lose that it can be an issue. So you don't really want a wee week here and there is all right, but we've been the same having the Astro at home this year. We're right bang up to date in our games, and thankfully for us, we've got one. I think the 10th of May is our free week, but you've only got one game after that. But ideally, you just want to keep it churning out over and over.
Mm-hmm. Yep, and similarly, Rutherglen, I spoke last week about Rutherglen, how I fancied them to really make a push, primarily because they've got 6 games left and they've got 5 against the bottom teams that are in the bottom half of the league. Now, as we've seen, Maybole go to Cohen last week and win. You know, Vale of Clyde are a very good side. We know that the teams down there can cause a wee upset. We've obviously got Irvine Meadow and Kilburney down there that are both good sides as well. So it's not a given. But if you were looking for a run-in, you would probably say, right, let's play teams in the bottom half of the league. So that's why I think Rutherglen might go on a wee run here and could be right in the mix come the end of the season.
You look at Arthurlie, 10 games, which looks magic. You look at their points, but then I think you've got 5. I think they've got 5 away. There's a period they've got 5 away fixtures and 6, Johnny, and then you've thrown in the dreaded midweek games into that as well. So that can be a nightmare just for boys working, availability, and then just injuries, wee knocks and that. So it can, again, talking about rhythm, it can really disrupt your rhythm. So as much as it's great having those 10 games, sometimes it's better just having the points in the bag, innit?
Aye, no, absolutely. And you're looking at Arthurlie. It's great. It's great for Kevin Rutkovic getting in there, and we spoke about how difficult it could be trying to get his own ideas across as a new manager when you've got so many games, because they're playing midweek every week now, I think, till the end of the season, just to try and catch up. It's going to be difficult for him to get his message across, but what he's doing is he's getting results, and that's the main thing at the end of the day, isn't it?
You think probably not changing too much, just trying to get a tune out of what's there, and I'd imagine he'll use probably most of his time as recuperation time in between just now, because, as you said, there'll be very little more he can do having 2 games a week in it constantly. So you're kind of hamstrung in what you can do. But as you say, he's getting results in there now, and if they can keep getting a tune out of him at the end of the season, then it's looking really promising for the minute.
And I suppose it's a testament to Colin Riley as well, the previous manager, because I listened to his interview with Paul Adams on the Pyramid Promotions channel. If you've not seen it, have a look. It's really interesting. And he said about how good a group they were. He was really high praise for the group, and I think the apparent turmoil that's went on at Arthurlie this season, it would have been easy for the wheels to come off, and I don't think anybody would have been surprised. So it's a testament to the group of players that are there. but also to the new manager who's managed to come in and galvanise them and get them going. Because winning last week, they won against Ashfield 6-0 last week. Maybell's a difficult place to go down there and get a victory, but they play Kilwinning in midweek. That'll be an absolute cracker up at Dunterley. If you're in the local area, two teams fighting at the top end of the table, definitely get out and go and see that game. That'll be a cracker, won't it?
That'll be a nice one.
Nice and tasty. That'll be good. And speaking about Kilwinning, they've got Irvine Meadow at home. They've got obviously Athley, then they play Meadow, Thornywood, St Rochs. And they've got them all. They've got a kind of mixture of home and away. They managed to get a good result away to Petershill. That's a great result because Petershill were going really, really well. And I know that Kevin Kelly was really disappointed with last week's result against Maybell. So, as I've said a few times, you want to just get back on the horse and back winning games, don't you?
Definitely. And then we're winning home this week, I think, as at Irvine Meadow. So they'll be up for that one as well, obviously. They'll be looking at that and fancying themselves in that one, but I'd imagine that'll be quite tasty in that one as well.
I know, and then you look at Petershill that are sneaking up behind. I don't know if they've maybe just left it a bit too late. They've only got 4 games. Although, interestingly, they've got Athley to play twice. So if they were going to make a run, then they've still got to go to Renfrew as well, which we said at the end of the season. So they have, if they could win those 4 games, who knows, they could put themselves right in the mix. But I think they've maybe just left it a wee bit late for a push to the promotion spot.
Aye. Steve's got them going well just now, but it'd be a big ask. It's not impossible, but it'd be a big ask with the 4 games left to get them into those 3 positions now, wouldn't
it? Definitely. Maybell drop into the relegation places in the first division with yesterday's result. They've got such a tough run in. They've got 3 away games coming up, and then the next 3 games are Renfrew, Petershill, and Thornywood away. It's going to be a tough run for them, isn't it?
I think for me, I think it'll be them that will occupy that 3rd spot, Johnny. It is a hard run. For me, I think that'll be the 3rd team.
I know, and I spoke to George, as everybody knows, George Wallace, the manager's one of my best pals, and I spoke to him, and it's just they go away to Kilwinning and get that victory, and then they lose to Blantyre at home, and you're looking at, if you could take care of those games, the Blantyres at home, then losing to Athlete's not that big a deal because that's expected. But when you lose that game, it then puts extra pressure on games that maybe you're not expected to win, doesn't it?
And it's that one, it's so tight down there that one victory, if they beat Blantyre, takes them up 2 or 3 places and brings everybody into the mix. But it's a pressure that you don't want, is it, or need? But the hardest run in for me, and I think it'll be tough for them to escape that one.
Mm-hmm. Yep, a team that's picked up recently in the last few weeks is Rob Roy. John Gibson's galvanised them towards the end of the season, brought a few new faces in, and they've got a couple of results under their belt. And I looked at their fixtures; they've got both Ashfield and Blantyre to play, which is you fancy them. If they can't beat Ashfield and Blantyre, then they probably don't deserve to stay in the league. And I'm pretty sure, no disrespect to Ashfield and Blantyre, but I'm pretty sure they'll take care of them and stay in the division pretty comfortably.
I would think so. Looking at it, as you say, they've done it at the right time, and again with the run in out of them all, it looks decent, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Right. Okay, we'll crack on into the second division, Michael. Interestingly, top 5 all won yesterday in the second division, so it's kind of as you were at the top. I think the standout for me, obviously Lanark had a great result away to St Anthony's, but for me Muirkirk had a wee wobble, a week in a 3 without a win. Ross Cusick, friend of the show, had 3 without a win before yesterday, so that was a massive game, particularly considering that they go to Neilston next weekend. So that was really important to get a wee win and go into that with a bit of confidence.
Yeah, I said, to be honest, Johnny, looking at that division, I know it's still pretty tight up the top, but the way the top 3 are sitting for me just now, I think that will be the top 3 come the end of it. As you say, a big one on Saturday, Neilston at home to Muirkirk. And I actually quite fancy Neilston if they can win that game. I actually think they could go and win a league. Looking at the run-ins, I think Whitlets have got 3 tricky games left, and for me, I think Neilston's run-in looks the most favourable. Muirkirk as well, having the extra games. I've got a couple of midweek fixtures in there as well, and all the joys that brings. So just looking at it there, for me, I would fancy Neilston at the 3 of them. But I think that looks like a solid top 3.
Yeah, we've said that, and I think the way that the Lanark kind of picking up results and had a great result yesterday, and then with Muirkirk having a wee wobble and Lanark picking up, I was starting to get nervous because I've said the same as you for the last few weeks that I fancy the top 3 that are there to be the top 3 at the end of the season. But all Lanark can do is keep winning games and put the pressure on. And looking at the fixtures, they've still got Whitlets to play. They play Whitlets next week, interestingly.
Yeah.
And Lark Hall play Whitlets next week. So
Lanark
go to 4th and Cambuslang, and then they play Muirkirk. So they can just keep winning.
I think Muirkirk have got Lark Hall home and away still to play.
Yep.
So that will not be easy. So I think with the games they've got, I think they'll have enough to see it over. But I still fancy the 3. But fair play to Lanark as well. They've made the right fight in there, haven't they?
Definitely. Neilston have got, so they play Muirkirk at home on Saturday, which we spoke about. Then they've got Cali Locals at home, St Anthony's away, and Yoker away. It's hard to see them dropping points, and if you compare that to Whitlets, who have got Lark Hall away, which will be tough because they're pushing as well. Bellshill at home and then Lanark away. And again, Whitlets have got that 3-week gap between the Bellshill and the Lanark game. So looking at those run-ins, which is what we want to look at, I think, you wouldn't be surprised to see Whitlets maybe drop points away from home in either of those 2 games, Lark Hall and Lanark. But you'd be really disappointed, Neilston, if they were to go to St Ants or Yoker and drop points, probably. So
you would fancy them to take care of that at this stage of the season, wouldn't you?
It'll be interesting to see how it goes, but it's going to be really, really tight. But again, Saturday's going to be a cracker if you're in the Neilston area. If you stay nearby Neilston and Atherley, you must stay in the same place. So you can go and see Atherley on Wednesday, that's a cracker, and then get yourself down to Brigalee and Saturday to watch that. It'll be a cracker. And then take yourself over to Keene Park and watch Johnston Borough at 5:30, V Lavs in the Scottish Cup semi-final. So if Andy's looking for any life planning, I'm available. Just give me a shout. I can sort of organise your whole life doing about the West of Scotland Football League.
I'm loving that. Who needs Sky Sports? You could cancel your subscription and just live on that, Johnny. That sounds good.
Well, why would you? I don't know why would you watch that muck that they put in Sky Sports anyway? Just get yourself out of the house and go and watch a game, especially coming into the summer, the good weather and stuff, and the games on Friday nights and Wednesday nights. I don't know why MD would want to stay in and watch the EFL Cup or the Premier League. Get yourself out of the house and watch real football.
Love of football.
Absolutely. Down the bottom, Les Mahago and Craig Mart were the only teams to pick up points. They drew with each other. Craig Mart relegated, so it's definitely a more valuable point for Les Mahago, who were on an absolutely stinking run, but now they're 3 unbeaten, 2 draws and a win. They're with St Anthony's kind of stumbling as well, 3 defeats in the bounce. Les Mahago have just picked up at the right time, haven't they?
I think St Ants they're away to Bonneton this weekend, is it? Which will be a tough one for them. So you're looking at that. 4th at home to Lanark, which will be tough for them as well. But it's tight down there. But I think with the Ants having played the extra games, it's going to be a tough one for them. If 4th can pick up a couple of points and Les Mahago as well, you can see Cambuslang maybe getting dragged down into that as well.
I mean, St Anthony's, everybody knows St Anthony's don't pay wages and they're looking to build something. They brought Martin Montgomery in from Benburn under 20s and stuff. So they've identified a way that they want to go, which is, I would imagine, targeting the kind of the younger players and things like that. Is sometimes getting relegated, maybe it isn't the worst thing in the world, and I know it's a horrible thing to say. No manager wants a relegation on their CV, but he's come in at the end of the season. Nobody's going to be holding him responsible for them getting relegated, and it gives him a chance to win games and get back up, you know.
And listen, I know Martin fairly well with the conversation a couple of weeks ago as well, and I hope he does well in there. But you're right what you're saying. You'd imagine that the blueprint must be youth that looks how it's going to be, doesn't it? Maybe a couple of boys who maybe knows with a bit of experience, but it's going to be youth. And as you're right, at that end of the table, is that really what you want for them next year? Is the differential between the two divisions that much that you'd be desperate to stay in it? Now back down into the third and then get a chance to build and maybe take a season to build, get yourself up there and then try and go for promotion and get yourself back up. I think that's I don't mean an easier gig, but I think that sounds like a more logical plan, doesn't it, than scraping to stay in there and having that same dogfight the following season.
It's really interesting. I watched an interview, I don't know if you've seen it, but I watched an interview with Davy Martindale, the Livingston manager, a couple of weeks ago, and he was talking about how enjoyable it's been this year coaching in the first division, because he can set up his teams to go and win games and to try and influence games rather than being so nervous about bottom six getting relegated, going to teams with vastly superior budgets and just defending and working out how to try and eke out a point here and a victory here and stuff. And he says it's been great just being able to go and say, right, this is how we're going to play, we're going to attack, we're going to relax, and it's just been such a difference. And it was a really interesting interview. I thought it really enlightening. I think a lot of managers should maybe watch it and think about it, because it is true what he's saying, isn't it?
Listen, everybody wants to test themselves at the highest level available. We'll get that, but at the same time as well, it's got to be a bit of progression in there, isn't there? And how much fun is there involved in setting up, trying not to get beat too heavily, as opposed to actually get out there, setting your team properly, working hard all week, and then getting out on a Saturday and watching your team try its damnedest to win a game of football. Successful or no is kind of, don't mean irrelevant, but it's that's what you're setting out for, and that's what you work hard for all week, to go out on Saturday and hopefully see some of the things you've been working on and training all week hard actually come to fruition on a park, isn't it? Rather than trying to sit in with 5 at the back and 4 across your midfield and pray you get a lucky break. It's there's no much fulfilment in that.
And there's loads of examples. You just need to look about the divisions. Neilston and Whitlett's come down last year, both regrouped, having great seasons. Port Glasgow in your league, Michael, come down, having a great season. So when I was at Lugar, we did it. We came down from the third into the fourth and then came back up. So it can be done, and sometimes it can be a benefit to the club, because I would say I watched Neilston the season they get relegated and I thought they were really poor, and I haven't seen them this season, but I've heard that it's night and day, and the same with Whitlett's as well. So
if you look at I know it wasn't Taman out there last year, but if you look at the Port and what they've done this year and scoring goals, and I think the locals, for what I can gather, really enjoying their style of football. The proof of the pudding's there, in it. It's exactly what you're looking for in your football. A lot more than I'm pretty sure that Tam and the guys have really enjoyed their season. So as you say, it might well be the best thing for a couple of these teams, maybe to go down and take stock and come back up again.
Yeah. Okay. Before we crack into the third division, we'll just find out a wee bit more about you, Michael. Again, this first time we've met. We've spoke obviously on WhatsApp arranging tonight, but I've never actually met you. I wasn't in the dugout when you faced Lugar in the fourth division. So just tell us a wee bit about you, about your kind of coaching journey, how you ended up at Knightswood.
Yeah. Listen, before I start, I see. Can you bar Gardner off the chat? I see him. He's obviously having a couple of beers on a Sunday night and getting a bit ahead of himself. I'll deal with him later on. But
I wasn't going to respond because he spelt my name wrong, and that's one of my bugbears.
I did see that as well. Jonny obviously only come back into last year. I'd been involved in football for a long time. Started coaching and running football teams at a young age, probably about 15, to be fair. And always just get a kind of bug for it, and I've always loved it. As a player, would never achieved some of the things that I've achieved as in management. My ability was nowhere near the level some of the boys that I've had the privilege of coaching. But always loved the management side there, and spent a lot of time in the juvenile side there, moving up, and then was fortunate enough to have a couple of spells at Knightswood when it was in the 21 setup, Jonny, and just loved it. Everything that they try to do, talk about standards and doing things the right way. Graham had set up the club roughly when I was born, and it kept it going all the time. And Knightswood camps, these names were kind of synonymous with everything that was good in the west of Scotland at that level. You've seen millions of boys getting up senior and into the junior ranks. and I loved it. So I'd went and took a couple of spells at different clubs and ended up going back and working at Knightswood. Again, really enjoyed it, and that's where I met some of the boys that are playing for me right now. Darren, Kenny Marshall, Darren Miller, and Rhys McGillian. So I was fortunate enough to have the pleasure of knowing the guys and got a friendship with the guys as well. And then along came family and that kind of stuff, and I've got 2 beautiful daughters, so I decided, and my wife helped me decide as well, that there definitely wasn't enough time in the world for all of these things. So I took a break out, and then once you're out for a while, when I finished at 21, Johnny, a lot of the boys that we had went into the junior set up. A couple of them went senior, and a lot of them went into junior. Some of them are still playing now. Fraser Barbers at Renfrew, Danny McKenzie at Clydebank, and then some of the boys that we've got back with as well just now. And I had a couple of offers to get into the junior side, and it just couldn't work for me at the time. And if I wasn't going to be fully committed, then it wasn't for me. I couldn't really kind of get involved in a kind of half-baked measure. So I took a step back, and you always miss it. You don't like it, as you miss the changing room, don't you? You miss the banter, you miss that competition. So I actually thought, to be fair, I thought it kind of passed me by. The game's, without sounding too ancient, but the game has changed a lot as well, hasn't it? So you think, I don't even know if I know all the rules anymore. Should I be getting back into this? And Gary and Angela, when Graham had stopped running Knightswood, Gary and Angela Sove took it on and gave it a whole new identity. Instead of it being a 21s, they started at 21s, but they've got a whole academy now. And I'm fortunate enough to class Gary as a friend. And last year, the 20s were in the development league, first year up, kind of struggling a little bit. And he asked me, could I step in? So I got back involved with the club. And then at the end of the season, there was obviously the issue, change of management, took 95% of the players with them. So at the end of the season, when the job came up, I'd put in for the job, interviewed for it, and was fortunate enough to get it. So, and that's what got me back in here. It was at that point, over the years, we spoke about it quite a lot with a lot of boys, and had never really seen it happening. And the chance came up, and thought, yeah, listen, let's go back and see if I can still remember how to do some of this stuff.
Aye, great. So what's the plans for Knightswood? Is it? I know you've obviously done really well to get promoted this season, but is there a long-term vision within the club, or is it just seeing how things go and taking it as it is?
No, John, that was one of the things for me. As I said there, I wasn't coming back in to do something half-measured, and it's got to be the right club for me, and I've got a big affinity with Knightswood. The club just now are in the process of planning an application for our own stadium. So we're nearing the end of that process, and again, Gary and Angela have kind of ran that with a lot of help for Lewis, who runs the team, and myself. He was a big influence in getting the first team together and help with this kind of stuff. So we're at the end of that journey now. We're hoping the application's going to begin in the next kind of 6 to 8 weeks. An approval for there, fingers crossed, very early next season. We will have the start of our own stadium, which will be brilliant for the local community, and the whole club is an academy all the way through to the first team. So there is big plans, and the plan with myself is, I'm kind of hoping, say this, I'll get sacked tomorrow, but I'm kind of hoping to be there for a kind of 5-year period, Johnny, bringing in guys round about me and taking the club as far as we possibly can. If you look round about us just now, we're in a really tight area geographically, with Yoker, Clydebank, Drumchapel, Maryhill, 2 minutes away from us as well. The Ant's just over through the tunnel, so in the Bends as well. But there's a place in the community for Knightswood, really strongly towards being a community club. As I say, what the guys have achieved with the academy is brilliant, and now what we've achieved in our first year in with the first team, we've loved it, and it's been great. But there's no plans for the club to stay at NK. It's a good surface, but it's not where we want to be, and it's not being anything other than what you are. But we want to do it properly. We want to go in. We'd like to get a licence, and I would like to become a real name in the West of Scotland Football League. Good,
sounds like good plans. I remember when you come into the league and picked St Pat's to the board. I don't think they were very happy, but when I was coaching at Glenburn Miners Welfare, the amateur club down here, with George again, and St Pat's beat us in the final of the West. It was actually the COVID final, if that makes sense. So it was like the 2020 final, but it didn't take place until 2022. So I was quite happy to see them get rejected for you guys. So.
Listen,
I'm always one against
no.
They're a really
good club. A really good club with a lot of history in there as well. But yeah, from my point of view, I was really glad that it was Knightswood that won the vote. And as I say, Gary and Angela have been true to what they say. They spoke a lot about the youth in the community, and there's a lot of great stuff going on there now, Johnny. So I'm hoping over the next kind of 12 to 18 months, the club will really take a big step forward, and from my point of view, and just try to pass that experience on and pass it on to the guys around about me, who I hope will see the club in good stead for years to come.
Good. And how's your experience been in the West of Scotland Football League? And if you had a magic wand and you could change one thing about it, is there anything you would change?
There's a few, but listen, I've loved it, Johnny. I've loved it. To be honest, it's been brilliant getting back involved, getting to know a lot of the managers. And listen, I know it's competitive, and for 90 minutes we can all be absolute idiots sometimes and get a wee bit frustrated. But I've enjoyed it. It's been great. For a way back when I was talking about 21s, I know people like Hedgie, Andy Hoggett, St Peters really well, Kenny, and it's been brilliant this year. Seeing JD come back in at Giffnock, doing brilliant already. Getting to know some of the other guys in the league, and as I say, before that message earlier on, I had quite a good relationship with Josh at WOSFL as well. But it's been brilliant. One of the things I'd probably change, what we noticed at the bottom end of the table or the bottom end of the leagues, is the refereeing side of things. It's really difficult for them because there's no linos there either. And you get a lot of guys coming through who are just starting, and you've got to be patient with them as well and try and put them on. But I think they could do with a lot of help, a wee bit of investment as well for their development. You'll know exactly what I mean, Johnny, with a referee a couple of weeks ago, Jordan, who played for Campsie. I remember him years ago. He played football, good player, good understanding of the game, and ran the game in a certain fashion. And not everybody's like that.
Mm-hmm. You can spot it a mile away, and it's I understand how difficult it is. I know Dougie Smith quite well, who's the referees, and obviously we work closely with Des Roach at the Pyramid Promotions, and I know how difficult it is for them to try and recruit referees into the roles, because it's a difficult gig. But it'd be interesting to see how they're getting coached, because you can always tell if somebody's played the game, even if they've played it at an amateur level or something like that, because they understand certain situations and they understand how to deal with certain situations, don't they?
I think some of the things I've seen, Johnny, bizarre. And I think where it is, it's difficult, is you're up there, you're trying to win promotion, you're trying to win a league, you're trying not to get yourself relegated, and then you see something in front of you and you think, really? And then you end up absolutely losing the plot altogether, and then you pick up a booking for it, and it just stokes the fire, and you've got to behave a certain way as well, but it can be really frustrating at times. I mean, for the most mild manners, the most mild mannered of us, it can be frustrating, as you know. So,
I used to say to George all the time. I used to say, look, if you look at the refereeing standards in the SPL, it's pretty rubbish. What chance have we got in the 4th division of the West of Scotland Football League? So let's just take that as it is and just remember that. Like, if they can't get it right at the very top of the league, what chance have we got? You mentioned there about being at Knightswood kind of 5 years. Do you see yourself moving on somewhere else, or is it 5 years and then you're out? Or
no, I don't have. I don't mean this the way it's going to sound. Right where I am just now, I don't have any ambitions to move on for Knightswood. I've got a real affinity with Knightswood, Johnny, and it's not. And listen, life changes really, really fast all over the place, doesn't it? And it's the same with football. A couple of bad results and it can be a bit of pressure on, or a couple of good results and somebody shows an interest in you. At this present moment in time, my focus is fully on developing Knightswood and progressing Knightswood first team and through the development league as well with the 20s. My big thing for us is progressing these players. And when I come back in the summer, I never brought any of the guys that I used to work with in with me. I took coaches and people and committee from within Knightswood, people that I'd never worked with before, people that I didn't even really know too well. And we brought them in, and it's been brilliant. Lewis, we brought Mick Scott in earlier on the season. Mick had a lot of experience with Yoka, and Mick had moved on. Lewis stepped up into the role as assistant for me. Lewis has been brilliant, does an extremely talented coach, a lot of experience. Keeps telling me he was a good player, but I'm doubtful on that. But and we're fortunate enough to have people like Archie who have played at another really good level as well. doing a lot of coaching with his due to injuries, and we've got the two Johns on the committee who are absolutely invaluable to us. And the committee at the club are great. I see Tony shouting and bawling in the chat as well now, but the committee have been fantastic for me. I've had nothing but unwavering support for Gary and Angela, Tony, Graham, and Kevin. They've been brilliant for me. Anything that we've tried to push on me in terms of standards, and I mean it in the nicest way possible. One of the biggest things for us is we were an academy team, we were a boys club, and for me it's a shift in mentality to try and move into the West of Scotland to semi-professional football, and it's trying to leave some of that stuff behind, which isn't easy, but it's all about standards, and that's what I'm trying to drive on. So what I'm kind of hoping is in that 5-year period, the guys that are running about me just now will be the guys that will take over that mantle going forward. We need to bring another wee bit of quality in. That's my plan for next year. Bring another couple of bodies in that I'd really like to help with, and take it from there. So I've no real. I'd like to go further within the leagues, but ideally, Johnny, for me, I'd like to do that with Knightswood.
Yep, and fingers crossed you can. It's been a good story this year. I've enjoyed finding out a bit more. I didn't know much about Knightswood apart from when they came into the league. So thanks for sharing all that with us. Hopefully everybody watching enjoyed that as well and found out a wee bit more about Michael. I enjoy finding out about the 4th division as well, because I've been in it. Lots of good clubs down there, and especially when new clubs come into the league. I said earlier about they've got to contribute, and you're talking there about the stadium and things like that. It's great to see that Knightswood are on the way up. Okay, we'll charge on into the 3rd division with some big wins for the teams at the top, none more so than Kilsyth. A really impressive result going to Thorn and winning 4-0.
But I don't think, no offence to the job the boys are doing at Kilsyth, have been amazing, but I don't think anybody had that one in their cooking. A massive result, but brilliant for them. Fantastic.
I know. I still think Thorn will win the league, but that second and third positions is going to come right down to the wire. We've got Kilsyth sitting in 50. Greenock have got a game in hand back in 48. Ardea have got 20. They've played 26. They're sitting in 48 as well. Yeah. And Threave have now picked up. That's 2 wins in the bounce for them, and they've got all the games in hand. The only thing I think might go against Threave is they've got to go to Lugar and Irvine Vicks in midweek, and that's some journey from down there, isn't it?
I seen that, Johnny. I think if I'm right, Threave have to play Glasgow Uni and Lugar home and away. Mm-hmm. So they've got both of them home and away. And as you say, when you throw in that midweek one, we're back to what we were talking about earlier on with points in the bag. So although it looked promising for them now, it's not quite as easy as that, is it? A massive win for Kilsyth, and as you say, with Greenock having the game in hand, it's looking really tight at the top there. As you say, I know how difficult it is. We're in a similar position to Thorn, unfortunately for us, so that gap's not there. We've got poured right on us, but that it's with 4 games left, it's difficult to keep churning out the wins, but you've got to fancy them for it. They've got a wee bit of breathing space.
Yeah, I think so. And I think next week, Kilsyth play a home to Ardea, which is going to be a cracker. So I've organised you in the west of the city, but if you're over in the east of the city, then get yourself up to Kilsyth and take in that one, because Ardea had a couple of sticky results, and it was interesting because I heard the guy saying that Sean Kenny would be looking for them to come out and start strong on Saturday. I think they were 2-0 up after 3 minutes or something on Saturday. So I'm sure Sean would have had them drilled, ready to go. They're obviously champing at the bit to get out of the traps on Saturday.
Aye. Listen, it's another lot of the leagues in it. It's getting to the exciting stage in it, but really, really tight at the top of that one as well, and could kind of go anywhere 5 just now into the 3 in it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I honestly don't know what way it's going to go. Like I said, I think Thorn will win the league. Kilsyth have hit a right rich vein of form right at the perfect time for them. Maybe it's because Bailey announced that he was leaving. Maybe he'll be reconsidering whether they've went on since they said
changes mind. I thought you're right.
Maybe he was just kidding on to get a reaction out of the boys.
A bounce off the boys, but I know you're right when you're saying they've got Ardea, but I think it's at home. I think for me, Thorn have got a decent run in out of 4 games as well, to be honest with you. I thought that, as I say, for me, Greenock's get quite a few tough games in there as well, and the same with Ardea. I thought Greenock and Ardea's run-ins looked pretty similar, tough games in there, so it'll be interesting, but I think a lot of it will come down to how Threave handle the midweek games and the travelling.
And if Kilsyth can get through next Saturday with a positive result. They play Wishaw away, Finnart away, and Perthshire at home. Teams that are all down the bottom end of the table. So if they can get through next Saturday with a positive result, then they'd probably be looking at fancying themselves to get one of those promotion spots, wouldn't you? You'd be disappointed if you didn't, if you got through.
I
think
if you get through that one now, then you'd be looking at a couple to go to see over the line.
I know. And Ardee obviously beating Glasgow United. I can't get my head around Glasgow United at all, to be honest, Michael. It's you look at their team, and they've got outstanding quality in the forward areas. David Templeton, David Gouveia, and they just don't seem to win enough games for me now. They've got plenty of games in hand. I don't see them going down, but you never know. They play Glasgow Perthshire next, which is a massive game. But I just can't get my head around them, to be honest. Every time you expect them to win a game, they'll just win a game out the blue that you didn't expect them to win, and then they'll get beat. Like they get obviously ram-raided yesterday, early doors from Ardee, and it's just, it must be so frustrating as a manager because you know you've got the quality, but you're just not picking up the results.
I think same as you. I know they've got a couple of games in hand in that, but I think the surprising thing for me was 37 goals scored. I mean, second lowest in the league behind Wishaw. Do you know what I mean? And you're looking, going, when you look at the squad, you're thinking there's loads of firepower in there. There's loads of goals in that squad. So and even at the back, it's no horrific at the back. As I say, they've only conceded 51. So again, there's plenty of other teams even get up the table that have lost a lot more than that. So as it's a surprising one, I didn't expect to see them there either, John, to be fair.
Mm-hmm. They've got the remaining games are all kind of teams run about them. They've got Perthshire next, they've got Vale leaving, Girvan, and they've got Finnart and Glasgow Uni twice. So again, it's well within their capabilities, as I said, to go and win most of those games and keep themselves in the league. But then, can you really trust them? That's the thing.
I know. I think the thing I seen, they get their last 4 games at home. I think they did run of fixtures at home, didn't they? So you look at that as well. You're thinking that's not a bad one, but again, it'll be midweeks in there as well. But you've got a runner. I think if you've got a run of 4 games at home and you know what you need to do to stay up, you're kind of hoping with that kind of positive, the quality in that squad, you'd be positive that you could see it through and get yourself out of there.
I know, and another big game at the bottom of that league, Irvine Vics play Vale leaving next week as well, which is going to be massive. Irvine Vics never played yesterday, but we'd kind of all thought they were gone, and it's still going to be really difficult for them because they've played more games than everybody else. But 3 wins in the bounce. Ben Carson's got a reaction out the boys, and I see they've brought in Sean McElroy, who must be, I don't know, 40 plus now, but he'll do a job for them, bring that bit of experience in. But they can do, like we said with the other teams, is just keep winning and see what happens.
Listen, 3 great wins for them. And as you say, home to Vale leaving, which is massive. And then I think last day of the season for them, I think they're home to Wishaw. So they'll have a look at that and think to themselves, there's 2 games you've got to earmark, like you've got to look for the points, haven't you? Just for the damage it does run about you. If you can beat the Vale on Saturday, that's them. The Vale have only got 3 games left at that point. So you're putting yourself right into the mix, and having Wishaw last game of the season at home, they'll be thinking to themselves, if we need 3 there, we'll pick it up as well. So I didn't see it coming either, but Ben's done well and picked up 3 wins, which is excellent.
And at the very least, if it is too little too late, which we think it might be, it still stands them in good stead going into next season, because you can look at players and you can try and attract players in that are you can show you can get a team to win games, which I think is for a new manager. I know he's not new as in he's not had a job before, but a new manager, a new club, it's important.
Aye. And again, as we said earlier on, maybe a wee bit of time to implement your ideas, isn't it, and go again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, 4th division, right? You going to win the league?
I'm quite time my damnedest, but I'm sure I've been saying that for a couple of weeks now. Johnny, I've said that over and over again. The Port have been brilliant. If we've thought over the season, I think we were 19 games unbeaten or whatever it was. We thought we'd been excellent at that level of consistency. I couldn't ask for any more at the boys, and the Port are there. And I know at one point with a couple of more points, the 2 teams over at this stage of the season, I think there's a definite thing. You get through that first round of games, Nobody really knew anything about Knightswood. Nobody really knew anything about myself or the players. So you get through that first round of games, and the games are all pretty open. And then when it comes into the opposite fixture, people change how they line up against you, and all of a sudden it becomes a wee bit more difficult. The Port have been brilliant. Listen, congratulations, they got the promotion yesterday, which is fantastic, but they'll be the same as us now. But from your point of view, Jonny, for the very start now, we've led this race. We've been up there, and we want to see it through. The remit within the club for myself and my coaches and the boys was we wanted promotion, and we've achieved that, which is great. And now we've got that, the pressure's off to a certain extent. It's now a case of let's see if we can win these 4 games and get it across the line, which would be amazing.
How are you changing the thought process from the players? Because you were saying like it's about getting promoted was the number 1 goal, so you hit that. So then, did you notice a dip in the camp, or are the players there motivating themselves to say, right, okay, that's the first job done, we need to go on and get the next one?
Last week we played WOSFL, really tough game, really tough game as we knew it would be. And after the game, we got the win. We knew that was us promoted. There was no partying. It was unfortunate, blessed Jonny, with some of the boys that we've got in the changing room that have got a lot of experience, some really good characters. People name the normal names, but we'll get people in there like Harry and Harry Granger, Willie Plummer as well. Fantastic boys who are great for the young boys as well. And everybody knew us, and we all congratulated each other, and that was as far as it went. So pressure's off, job's done, everybody's delighted. We've exceeded all expectations in our first season, but now we've done that well and we've worked that hard over the course of a year. It would be remiss of me and the guys not to push the boys on and try and go. I know the Port came down, but they're a well-established team, bigger than us in every single way. They're further on in their process. This is only our first season. These boys have been together a lot longer. So for us, it's a case of, are we punched above our weight? Probably most people would say so. We've heard the rumours all year about budgets and all that. There's Jonny, there's teams in the bottom half of your league that have spent more on players than what I have. So you've still got to go out there and do a job, even if you're fortunate enough to be able to buy a couple of players. You've still got to bring them into a system and make sure it works. And there's plenty of teams, as I say, sitting in the bottom half of your league that have done that and aren't where we are. So for me, I think the boys deserve a bit more credit than what they've got. And the best way for me to get that credit for the boys is for them to go now and win that league. And then at that point, they can turn around and get all the plaudits that I feel they deserve.
Yeah, I hate that. I hate the budget chat anyway. It really does my head in at any level, whether it's Clydebank or yourselves or any team, Whitlets or whoever, because you still need to win. Just because you've got hundreds of money, somebody could come and say, Michael, we're going to give you £1 million to spend on the players this season. You still need to get them on the park and get them to win. You know, and sometimes having a bit of extra investment then brings extra pressure to go and get that job done. So it doesn't automatically mean, and you can't use it as, all right, okay, they've won that because they've spent more money. Well, okay, right, they can go and get better players, of course they can, but that doesn't automatically mean you're going to win games. What I would say is it's more, when you're in that league, you look at other teams around about that maybe overachieve because they don't have that investment. But definitely. I hate when it's used as a stick to beat teams with. It really frustrates the life out of me.
For me, Jonny, there's probably two things. I hear the same names. People recognise the names off it. So people that will know even have been to see Knightswood this year will look at the team line and they'll recognise 3 or 4 names. And most interviews, when I hear it, no matter who it's on, and I don't have an issue with it because people will go, Dan Miller, Kenny Marshall, Rhys McGillian, Liam Coogans, and they're right. But there's another 10 boys behind them. And the biggest thing for me is a lot of these boys that people are naming, Jonny, they're not Knightswood for money. I'm fortunate enough, as I said earlier on, to have a really good relationship with some of these boys. And these boys are there alongside me in the trenches, trying to achieve something with this club. And you can't buy that. Unfortunately, you can't buy that. And these boys aren't playing. Some of these boys could be playing 2 or 3 divisions up. And I'm grateful that they're not. And they're there for us. And they're the boys that are driving this on now. There's no Alaka. I've heard all season, I had that one will leave. He'll not stick it out. He'll not manage a year there. Still there. They'll be there to the very last game as well, and they'll be there with his next season. Do you know what I mean? So, and then you take the other side of that, you take the flip of that, and then you've got a club like WOSFL that don't have the same finances. Josh gets nothing for that end, and I know that. but he's an excellent coach and he's been working well with that team, and you can see the benefits that brings as well. And I kind of want us to be probably a hybrid of both. It's great having a wee bit of backing, and that's literally what we've got, a wee bit of backing. And if you can mix a really good coaching blend in with that, then you'll have something pretty special. And for me, that's how we'll take this forward as a club. We've got two great guys in their 20s taking that team as well. We've had 2 boys step up permanently. And as I think I said, with 3 other boys in for the 20s out on Saturday with us, that whole blend, nobody picks up on that. They just look at the team line and see the 3 or 4 names that they know, and all of a sudden that's enough to make you win. And you're like, I wish I'd known it was that easy. I'd never have chucked it for the years. I'd have just stuck it with you guys.
I know. It's just it's ingrained in us, I think, from this level, just because you've got such disparity with some teams. I think it's just an automatic thing. It's just an automatic stick to beat people with, and I don't understand it. I've never understood it. I've also never understood the whole we're not spending any money chat as well that some clubs come away with, and like, why do you need to say that? Just say, like, we've got a bit of money, great, let's go and spend it, let's go and get good players and see what the manager does. But anyway, I think looking at the run-in, so congratulations, you're right, to Tam Jimison and the boys at Port Glasgow for getting promotion. Yeah. It's been a ding-dong battle. It's been great to watch from our point of view. Looking at the run-in, Port Glasgow they've got Kello away, Newmains away, Rossvale away, and St Peters at home. You guys have got Saltcoats at home, East Kilbride away, and then a back-to-back with Eglinton. So I think if you were a neutral, and PG's going to hate me for saying this, but if you were a neutral, you'd probably say that the run-in's a bit kinder to you guys than it is to Port Glasgow. You're not going to say that, are you? You've got to keep it.
No, especially with Saltcoats coming to town on Saturday, definitely not. It'll be an interesting one for us because we've got the double header of Eglinton, so that'll be unusual because usually everybody else we know a wee bit more about, you know the guys, so you're going on the information you can pick up, VO, all these kind of things, and any scout that you can do on them. But both run-ins will be hard. I know the Port are in the middle of a couple of away games just now, but they'll be fancying themselves. They'll be buzzing after coming back from Campbelltown with the win and sealing promotion. But for us, they're going to Kello on Saturday. Kello are sitting third just now. They've not got any breathing room for that space either. You've got Easterhouse and Rossvale right on them as well. Kello have got a double header with Rossvale still to go as well. So it won't be easy. I think Easterhouse have got Rossvale this Saturday as well. So loads of games at the top, really, really tight. But from my point of view, it's fantastic because everybody's playing. Saltcoats have been on a really good run, picked up some really noticeable results as well. So everybody's playing with a purpose, Johnny. And especially at that top, we've been talking about it as well. With Eglinton sitting in 7th now, but with games in hand, that kind of top 7 is still really, really tight. And I think the added kind of impetus of people saying there might be a 4th spot. People are still throwing everything at it. They're throwing the kitchen sink at it, trying to say, right, listen, let's not finish 5th and look back and go, if we'd have won that last game, we'd have maybe been up as well. So everybody's still going for it full pelt.
I know, because if you look at Josh at Rossvale, they're probably thinking they've maybe left it a wee bit late to push it into that 3rd spot, but the potential of there being a 4th spot, and then the caveat of them still get Kello to play twice, that's a big motivator for them. It's definitely not out of the question by any means. But Greg Gallagher at Kello's done an incredible job
awesome.
Down there. And again, it's not a team that came down last year, struggled last year, came down, regrouped, and now they're 4th clear in 3rd spot with 2 in hand. He's done a great job down there. How have you found it? Have you been down there? I take it you have.
I wouldn't swear, but murder, Johnny. So if you look at the top 6 teams just now, quite a start for ourselves. We beat every one of those teams home and away, bar Kello. So we've no dropped points in any of the top 6 teams. Rossvale, Easterhouse, the Port, West Park. Every one of them, we've beaten them home and away, which is brilliant, absolutely amazing for the boys. Kello, we've drawn twice. Big Donny in their goals, was excellent character and was fantastic. Both games we played them really good. Nothing bad to say about it. Can kick the ball further than I can probably drive it sometimes.
I think when the phrase "it's coming down with snow on it" was invented for Big Dunsmuir, definitely, because I remember he was playing when I was playing, so. And I remember, like, you would watch the ball coming down me as a centre half, and I'd be like, "This is going to hurt. This is going to hurt my head because my head was my best foot." So it was like, this is going to hurt my head, but I'm going to just have to stick it out there and hope for the best.
Great character, but also a very good keeper. And when we played Kello down there and it went 1 each, we actually broke up the park, and our centre forward was through 1-1 with him. It'd have won the game. It'd have been brilliant, and what a save he pulled off. And even at home there, in the home game, the second half we came out, and I thought on the balance of play, it was one of our better performances, really good, and we just couldn't get by them. So it's not an easy place to go, and it wasn't easy to take them to Enki either, to be fair. But Greg's done a brilliant job down there. Really, really tough team, but some smashing players. I think the boy McGinn and Miller, two really good talents as well. So a lot of people going about them being battlers, but they've got ability in there as well, Johnny.
Mm-hmm. And they've, again, shown how tight it is. I know they've said they've got WOSFL twice, but they've also got St Peter's to play twice as well. And we know what a good job Kenny's done in at St Peter's. Again, a friend of the show, but I know they had a disappointing result yesterday, but that's not a given that you're going to get points off St Peter's the way they're going.
No, listen, Andy and Kenny have done a great job. We played them earlier on in the season, and our park wasn't available. We've actually played them over at the Ants on the grass. And we won 2-0, but we knew it was going to be a difficult game. And although we were bitterly disappointed when we played them the other week, it couldn't take anything away from St Peter's and couldn't fault them in effort, and they never. And the boys that were on, the boy Rooney that they signed from East Kilbride a couple of weeks ago is a really good centre forward as well, and he's made a difference to their team, gave them an edge. So I'm glad that we've not got them in the running, but I think they'll definitely have a say in that, the kind of top 4 or 5 spaces.
Yeah, and I think they could be a team to watch for next year as well, depending on who
doesn't. I think to keep the team together, Johnny. I think Kenny will fancy his chances of trying to get into that kind of top 5 or 6. I know he was saying last week that kind of top half of the table and then the season further, but I think deep down he'll be looking at it going, if we got off to a good start, we could maybe be pushing for that kind of top 4, and he wouldn't put it beyond them.
Yeah, well, it's going to be an exciting run-in. I'm really looking forward to seeing how it all plays out in that league, because like I said, it's been a real ding-dong battle. It'd be great. It probably wouldn't be great for you, but it'd be great for us if it came down to the last game of the season, and you were eaksy-peaksy, and you'd be checking the phones and all that kind of stuff. You guys at home to Eglinton, and Tam and the guys at home at St Peter's. It'd be fantastic. It'd be great to see. But thanks very much for joining us this evening, Michael. It's been really good. I've really enjoyed it. Enjoyed chatting with you, getting to know you a bit as well. So thanks very much for giving us your time this Sunday evening.
Not at all. I'm going to take the dogs a walk and then watch the Masters. That'll be the rest of my night then. But no, listen, thank you. It's been a pleasure, Johnny. Always happy to try and get involved, and I think the job that you guys are doing is excellent as well. So, no, thank you. Thanks for having us.
No, we appreciate that, and it's great that one of the good things that the managers are all getting involved in and engaging with us and stuff. And even after, I know you've even come on and spoke to us after defeats, which is never the easiest thing in the world to do, but it's really appreciated because it helps us a lot. So.
I said that to Paul, you've got to take it both ways, Johnny, and can't go throwing your toys at the pram. So you need to suck it up on these occasions as well, don't you? So always happy to support it. So keep up the good work, Johnny.
Yeah, brilliant. So thanks very much for everybody for tuning in to episode 7 of WOSFL Weekly. Reminder, you can watch this again on YouTube anytime you like, and it should be available on all good podcast platforms by the end of tonight. If you're watching on YouTube, if you could hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, check out all the content that we're churning out here at Pyramid Promotions. And if you're listening in audio form, if you could rate and review on your podcast app, it'd be much appreciated. You can follow me on X at WOSFL Weekly or at JBailey22. You can follow Michael at MikeyP74. Okay, 148 goals over 39 games in the West of Scotland Football League this week. Again, only 1-0, I think, ruining the stats for us. So Drumchapel and St Cadoc's drew 0-0, so letting the side down. But averaging 3.7 goals per game in the West of Scotland Football League. So, as I say every week, if you are looking for something to do on a Saturday and you're looking for football entertainment, find out where your local West of Scotland football team is, dig out a tenner and go and watch them, because I'm sure they'll appreciate it. I've been your host, Jonny Baillie. It's been Michael Pender joining me this evening. Until next week, I'll see you same time, same place. Cheers.
Cheers.